Hey BookTube, this is Friday Reads. I'm Jen and I talk about audiobooks, and lately I've been talking because I just did my end of year 2016 wrap up. It's a book tag that was taken from a book blog, and it was done in 5 parts. And so if you watched all those, my hat is off to you. My eternal gratitude is due you, because that was a lot of me yammering on about books. So thank you so much for watching that, if you did. I just finished a series, actually I think it's a YA contemporary romance series called The Royals, and I was up until 6 a.m. this morning finishing it. And it's narrated on audio by Angela Goethals and Zachary Weber, and the 3 books in the series are Paper Princess, Broken Prince, and Twisted Palace. And these are the ultimate soap opera. It's like marathoning Days of Our Lives. It is an orphan. She gets kidnapped by a very wealthy man and kind of taken under his wing and brought into his family. He has 5 sons. His wife is dead. And it's the story of all of them becoming a family and getting along. And it's full of drama and drama and drama. And the plight of very wealthy people and how nasty kids can be in a prep school. And oh, it's just, you know, I would call this definitely a guilty pleasure if you like this kind of thing. I couldn't quite believe I was putting all of this stuff into my brain, but I was, and I did, and now I'm done. And now my brain is kind of reeling. I'm not sure exactly what to listen to or read or any of that. So there's the mental state I'm in when I'm approaching reading this weekend. So I have picked up a couple of things. For one thing, I am continuing on with We Cannot Be Silent by R. Albert Moeller Jr. And this is nonfiction. It's on my iPad. And so it's an ebook, and it is all about the history of the way we view sexuality and morality in both the United States and the world at large. And it is written by a Southern Baptist minister, so it is very much of a Christian view of that, and I'm sure it would be very controversial among many of my BookTube friends or the BookTube community in general. But I saw a review for it on Tim Challies' website. I'll link his website below, but he has a blog. He's a Christian minister, and he reviewed it and very positively. So I wanted to know what it was about. So I picked it up, and it's pretty strong stuff. It is very bordering on legalistic. And yet, having said that, I can see a lot of truth in what he is saying, what the author is saying. So anyway, I'm about a little less than halfway through that. And it's the kind of thing that you have to read and then digest, and then read a little more and digest. So I'm doing that. So that's an interesting read. And then I picked up on audio In Times Like These by Nathan Van Coops. This is a time travel adventure. I don't think it's YA because the protagonists are in their mid-20s, so I'm not sure if you call that adult or new adult. And it's narrated on audio by Neil Hellegers, and that is book 1 in the Times Like These series. So far, it's okay. This narrator, Neil Hellegers, I think, I wish I weren't so familiar with people like MacLeod Andrews and Nick Podell and R.C. Bray and Luke Daniels, Scott Brick, other male narrators who are so amazing at the way that they can interpret a story. This guy he's okay. He's better than average, but he's not quite them, you know? So while I'm listening, I'm kind of having to fight the tendency I have to compare. So I'm trying to just get immersed in the story, and so far so good. I'm not being pulled out of the story because of problems with the narration. So yeah, I've just started that, so I'm just barely into it, but it's pretty good. And when I picked it up, I thought, well, if I don't like this, I'll put it down. I'm thinking that I got it for review, actually. I can't remember exactly, but I think I did. So, I've also got Accidentally on Purpose by Jill Shalvis. This is narrated on audio by Karen White. It is her latest book in the Heartbreaker Bay series, which is contemporary adult romance. And I didn't want to pick that up straight away coming from this other series, this other YA series, The Royals, because it was so over the top. And I thought, I'm not sure if I want to I need a palate cleanser. So that was why I picked up the time travel book. But, you know, if I get far enough into the time travel book and I'm not really feeling it, then I'll switch over to Accidentally on Purpose. I think that even if I try something, that's enough to cleanse the palate, enough to be able to pick up more romance. So I have those 2 things going, potentially 3 things going. And then in print, I picked up 2 or 3 things off my shelf. It's funny, I look at my shelf and I think, oh, I want to read that. Oh, I want to read that too. Oh, I gotta get that read. I really want to read that. Everything looks appealing to me. I want to read all the books. I want all the books just to magically come into my head. So I picked up 3 and I thought, maybe I will give these a try if I have time. One is Every Soul a Star. This is by Wendy Mass, and it is middle grade, and it's about 3 friends who view a solar eclipse and the way it affects them. I think it's probably kind of a coming-of-age story. I have Avalon by Mindee Arnett, which I have had for a long time, and it annoys me that this is not out on audio yet. It should be out on audio. It's a duology. The sequel is called Polaris, and it is The Fast and the Furious in space, from what I understand, which that is, yes, please, more of that. So I just haven't had the wherewithal to pick it up and focus in on it and pay attention. So I really need to do that. I think it's going to be a really good story. At least I've heard that from people who have read it. And then I also have Time Salvager by Wesley Chu, and this is a time travel story. This I actually had on audio at one point, and I did not care for the narrator at all. So if I don't get into this Nathan Van Coops story, I may pick this up and just see how it goes. It's not that long. It's probably, I don't know, 300 pages, something like that, but it just looked really good. I loved the premise of time travel, people on the run, fugitives, the whole thing. So anyway, that is my weekend. What are you reading this weekend? Is it beautiful where you are, or is it gray and kind of floating snow like where I am? You know, I think that the sun has been out a total of like 3 hours for the entire month of January where I live. Man, I am popping that vitamin D, you know, thinking, please, can we have some sunshine? I'm about to make my trip south that I make 4 times a year. And so I'm going to do that on Monday. And so that's prime listening time. That's 13 hours of listening. So I will probably be pretty picky about what I'm going to choose to pop in my iPod at then. And so that is it for now for me. Tell me what you're reading. Let's talk about it in comments, and have a great weekend, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.